Welcome. My name is Dr. Marika Bouchon. I am a researcher in topologic ecology and an atypical thinker. I focus on ecology of health, the health integrity of any system, and my expertise lies in cognitive anthropology and frameworks of thinking. Before you watch this video, please view the video introducing the cognitive animated geometry so you have an idea of what to expect here. First, let us watch the raw animation. I will explain later. The colors correspond to the many perspectives and frameworks. The glowing surface of the cone and the arrow figure the shape of the human notions of progress, advancement, expansion, or growth. What's the difference between development and advancement? How do you compare learning, advanced capacities and skills of real daily life in society with the biology-derived basic faculties and abilities like speech and human dexterity to live in nature? This can be resolved by unfolding back the cone into the original flat surface. Here, the orientation of arrows or ladders of progression matters for the confusing notion of development. On the folded cone, the arrow looks kind of vertical, although with a bias due to the angle of the cone. But when unfolded, we see that the arrow line was actually still crawling on the surface of the cone as it expanded, and now it comes back to the original shape in neurotypical thinking, a line crawling on a flat surface. The folding made it appear more vertical, but topologically it is on the surface, so horizontal. At this stage, the confusion is easily lifted because we associate physical growth and appearance of fundamentally human abilities and mental faculties with the vertical axis of our standing, growing children, and tree growth, whereas we associate the endless, diverse, and increasing area of capacity with expansion, spreading, or topologic surface stretching, horizontal. The complex cultural icon of the tree warrants another animation, but it is perpendicular to the ground, the surface. The word normal means at right angle, perpendicular. The geometry shows how it connects the vertical and horizontal arrows and flatland normal surface, and to the frameworks of thought about norming rules and patterned activity. This is of importance for the statement in the humanities there is no normal, as discerned from the physical meaning of fully grown human phenotype. This is a very ancient and sticky issue in both theory and practice. If you recombine the fragmented vertical and horizontal axes to produce an integrated but angle bias scale from lesser to higher, you end up with the unintended categories of subhuman and superhuman and viral pest behavior. These frameworks and representations afflict autism, racism, devalued animals, carers of women or men as parents, the child as unfinished human, but also overvalued superhuman powers, gifts, and brain, various forms of anthropocentrism, endless growth, and lost understanding that actual biological life is not one way. A notion of orienting to boundary can resolve this simply by returning to less fragmentation rather than reintegrating into bubble holes, worlds, and selves. However, the neurotypical perspectives and the atypical view do not have to be opposed, as in human advancement versus return to nature. They're actually complementary. Despite their fundamental difference, they are logically equivalent. Etymology and simple geometric rules connect them, so communication is possible. Conventionalized frames and generic or global gauging can collaborate equally to build a more accurate understanding. Fitting into society is not just one person's failure or sole adaptive responsibility of a group. interactions should not lead to uneven dominance of one side out of balance, becoming auto-reinforcing, but to even collaboration. The animated geometry points to a number of neglected options. Our understanding of thresholds always brings the same solution: activate and deactivate, target or advance, hoping to balance and stabilize or establish things. But it can also produce spiraling and crisis, the snake or dragon in the hidden core of human culture and in parents' experience of classic child autism. There is no generally accepted representation of agile, sensitive response without being affected under very low pressure that does not trigger thresholds. Foods, crowding, living conditions, or adaptive effort can all raise pressure, trigger thresholds, and increase rather than reduce regulation difficulties. My fieldwork has revealed that individuals who cannot overextend past limits and still maintain stable regulation are marginalized to the edge by all great societies. My aim is always to use this animated geometry to simplify the complex details that bring confusion in order to extract the most essential understanding needed to stay on track. Thank you for taking the time to consider this presentation.